Queen Leonor's first day, what she did left Spain speechless. The palace doors opened to history. Spain awoke to the dawn of a new era, expecting routine ceremony, formal addresses, and carefully rehearsed traditions. But what Queen Leonor did on her very first day stunned an entire nation. This was not the monarchy Spain thought it knew. This was something deeper, something braver, something that has left the people speechless. From the earliest hours, the atmosphere in Madrid was electric. Crowds gathered near the royal palace, their breath forming clouds in the cool morning air. The sound of church bells echoed through the streets as thousands of citizens awaited their first glimpse of their new queen. For generations, Spain's monarchy had been defined by formality, distance, and duty. But Leonor was about to shatter those expectations in ways no one could have predicted. Her motorcade approached, but rather than waving from the security of her vehicle, Queen Leonor asked the driver to stop. She stepped out onto the cobblestone street, surrounded by astonished onlookers. And then, in a move that defied every rigid protocol, she walked directly into the crowd. Elderly women wept. Children stretched their hands to touch her. She embraced them all, not as a distant monarch, but as a daughter of Spain. This act alone ignited a storm of emotion. But it was only the beginning. Inside the palace, history weighed heavy. Generations of monarchs had stood in those same halls, sworn oaths, and delivered scripted words. Yet Leonor's first official address did not begin with the government, the nobility, or the church. It began with the people. She spoke not of herself, but of Spain, its farmers, its workers, its youth, its elders. Her words were not lofty or detached. They were raw, heartfelt, and undeniably real. This was not a speech crafted for applause, it was a declaration of intent. What left Spain most breathless was what came after. Traditionally, a new monarch spends their first day hosting dignitaries, shaking hands, and reviewing ceremonial guards. Leonor broke from that script entirely. She requested a private moment, not with politicians, not with generals, but with the families of ordinary Spaniards who had suffered in silence. Widows of fallen soldiers, survivors of tragic accidents, young students struggling with poverty. She invited them into the palace itself, a space that had long felt unreachable, and she listened. Not as a sovereign looking down upon her subjects, but as a woman determined to lead with empathy. One story in particular shook the nation. A young girl, barely 12, spoke to Leonor about her father's struggle to find work after years of service. The queen did not offer vague promises. She rose from her seat, took the girl's hand, and vowed that her reign would not turn a blind eye to suffering. Cameras captured the tear rolling down Leonor's cheek, and in that instant, Spain saw not just a queen, but a human being willing to bear the weight of her people's pain. The media exploded. Newspapers ran headlines that very evening. A queen for the people, Leonor breaks tradition, the crown with a heart. But beyond the press, something deeper stirred. Citizens who had long doubted the relevance of the monarchy suddenly found themselves moved, even inspired. Political commentators debated whether her approach was dangerous or revolutionary. But no one denied the impact. As the day unfolded, Leonor continued to surprise. In the grand courtyard of the palace, where monarchs had for centuries stood apart from the masses, she opened the gates. Ordinary Spaniards, students, workers, families, were allowed to enter and witness the ceremonial changing of the guard. For the first time, the palace became not a fortress of power, but a gathering place for the people it was meant to serve. But Leonor's most daring moment came at sunset. Standing on the palace balcony, with the Spanish flag fluttering behind her, she addressed not only the nation, but the world. Her words carried both gravity and warmth. She acknowledged Spain's troubled past, the divisions that had scarred its people, and the challenges of its future. Then, with quiet strength, she declared, "A crown is not a barrier. It is a bridge." That single sentence swept across social media like wildfire. Millions reposted it, quoted it, and celebrated it. The night concluded with something utterly unexpected. Rather than retreat into royal chambers, Leonor joined a candlelit vigil outside the palace walls, honoring those lost to the pandemic. Shoulder to shoulder with ordinary citizens, she held a candle in silence. No cameras were allowed inside the circle. Yet even from a distance, Spain saw the light, her light, burning beside theirs. By the time dawn broke the next morning, Spain was forever changed. Commentators compared Leonor's first day to landmark moments in history, moments when leaders defied tradition to reshape their nations. Yet what made it remarkable was not grandeur, but humility. She had shown strength, not through power, but through humanity. And that humanity left an entire country without words. So what happens next? Will Queen Leonor continue to challenge the rigid traditions of monarchy? Will her bold empathy spark resistance among political elites? Can a crown survive by bending, by humanizing, by breaking away from centuries of distance? These are the questions that linger in the air. But one truth is undeniable: Spain has witnessed something unprecedented. A queen whose first day was not about her, but about them. Spain expected a queen. What they received was a leader who chose love over protocol, empathy over power, and humanity over tradition. That is why her first day has left Spain speechless. And as history continues to unfold, one thing is certain: the world will be watching every step she takes.